Imagine being on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean as the comedy act and bombing so hard that an 80-year-old man yells at you to get off the ship. You're trapped together at sea for another few days and there's nowhere to hide. For the rest of the voyage, people are pointing at you near the buffet and saying things like, "There she is, that comedian who sucked." My guest today called this the floating prison of shame. Jordana Borensztajn is a communication expert, author of The Little Book of Influence, and someone who has bombed spectacularly enough times to figure out resilience on the fly and what actually creates influence. And let me assure you, it is not perfection. She is a former journalist and stand-up comedian turned mentalist and hypnotist, which is a super weird cocktail, but I couldn't love it or love her more. Because what she's discovered is that the thing that we are most afraid of, being seen as we actually are, being humiliated, being judged, is exactly what is blocking us from real connection and owning our true power. But like most of life's best lessons, Jordana had to learn all of this the hard way. Today, we are talking about why comedy is cheaper than therapy, what mentalism reveals about human connection, and how your biggest disasters might just be your greatest superpowers. Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm so glad that you're here because together we're going to work through big stuff. Jordana, hello and welcome to Big Stuff.
Oh, thank you for having me. Our little pre-chat was so fun. I can't wait to dive in with you.
The pre-chat was fun, and for anyone listening, Jordana actually just threw down in the first 10 minutes of knowing each other. And now it seems that I will be one of my 2026 goals is to do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy. So once you've announced it, like it is real now.
It is real, and
just in case you thought I might be talking shit,
Yep.
I'm taking up the gauntlet.
And you'll be amazing at it. And I'm going to be your mentor, and I'll be your support system and your biggest cheerleader every step of the way. It is one of the best things that you can do for character building, stepping way outside of your comfort zone. I think every single person in the world should try that challenge in their lifetime.
Anyone who knows me knows that I probably don't need much more character, but I am always up for a challenge. Even talking about it right now, my heart is pounding. So I know that I'm onto something because I do love that adrenaline of a good challenge.
Amazing. I've never spoken to anyone who said, I don't need more character building. That's gold.
I probably don't. I mean, far out. Like, yeah. Life seems to get me good and my character just keeps getting bigger.
Amazing.
So talk us through a little bit about how because you were a journalist and then you moved into comedy. I presume it was in that order. Tell us a little bit how you ended up in comedy.
So I was a journalist. I did my cadetship at the Herald Sun, which was amazing. And I fell in love with music journalism there. And then I moved to New York to do music journalism night times and on the weekends. Came back, saw a guy in a Nova jumper, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love Husey and Kate. And I love music, and I'm a journalist. And I got a job at Nova as national online music editor at the very time that radio stations were turning from static pages into fully fledged editorial platforms. And then through my time at Nova, I went out on a really bad date, which pushed me into a career in comedy. So I wasn't really dating that much. And so like for me to commit to a brunch was a big deal. And this guy was witty. He seemed smart. He was all of the things that you would like in a brunch date. And I envisioned multiple brunch dates that would come after. And so I rock up at the cafe and someone's waving at me and I'm like, I don't know that person. And so it was all the horrors that you hear about. Like he looked like 10, 15 years older than his photo, 2 hairlines older. I sit down and we don't just not get along well, but we actually start fighting. And he's hungover, slurring his words. It was absolutely horrendous. It was so bad. It was the saddest eggs, spinach, mushroom dish I've ever had in my entire life.
You didn't get the first date etiquette memo, clearly.
What's the first date etiquette? Don't order a big meal in case you need to run away.
Yeah, for you.
Oh my gosh. No, I totally missed that memo, sadly. So I left going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a single cat lady talking to succulents for the rest of my life. And so I called one of my friends, but I was so like traumatized by the experience that all I could do was imitate his hungover slurring. So I'm imitating him. By the end of the conversation, I feel better. And then I called another friend and I was like, I added in extra exaggeration, extra enthusiasm. By the end,
Yeah.
they're both laughing so hard, crying, tears. You know that breathless laughter where you literally can't even get the next breath.
Yeah. Peeing your pants, your tummy hurts. Yep.
All the things. And so at that point, I was like, I have to learn comedy because it is so much faster and cheaper than therapy, and it's the quickest way to heal. So I just jumped from that moment into comedy audiobooks. I got a comedy coach, did comedy workshops, and within 2 months, I was doing my first 5-minute set. And it's been a game changer and a massive therapeutic tool ever since.
I think it's one of the most remarkable things about humans, and certainly the excellent humans that I like to hang out with, is the capacity for inappropriate humor in a really hard situation. And I think the more inappropriate it is, the better the healing, the better the tension can ease. I really love that, the way that you say that. It's faster and cheaper than therapy.
100%. And we need it. We need to laugh. Laughter, like to look at life through a comedic lens has changed everything, because I can have the worst day ever, the worst experience ever, or the worst conversation ever, but part of my brain is going ding, ding, ding. This is going to be amazing material. So it's an incredible mental cushion to fall back on, because it doesn't matter what's happening. Give me all the bad dates you want to give me, universe. Send them my way, because I know they're going to be amazing content. So it's changed the way that I experience that intensity, and I don't get stuck in experiences anymore because I've got breathing space. So it's foundational, and we need to laugh.
Yeah.
The thing, audiences need to laugh. We need to laugh. A challenging situation, if we laugh, we relax. It's an icebreaker. We trust.
I mean, that's super profound. Tell me though, like, how long does it take you when you're in it? So a bad date's a bad date.
Yeah.
They're a dime a dozen. But if you're in a really big transitional life moment, which generally means something is sucking really, really hard and there's like major pain or grief or whatever.
Yeah.
How long does it take you generally to move through the gamut of emotions before you can find the humor in it?
So I can always find the humor, but I still go through the emotions. Two things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
Which is what's so powerful about it, because you can be in the emotion and going through whatever the experience is, but I can still have that part of me that's going, very soon I'm going to be able to see this differently. Or I'm really conscious of this moment and that moment, because detail in comedy is everything. So I'm looking for the stuff that is going to turn it into an amazing story one day, or a healing story, or a moment of connection.
Amazing. I love that. I love that so much. But you ended up from there on a cruise ship. Tell us about the floating prison of shame, because that story, I mean, that's great. Your book is full of your book right here, the Little Book of Influence. It is little.
It is little.
It packs a punch, right? You didn't fuck around with extra words in here, right?
No.
But your anecdotes, your storytelling is really extraordinary. You've got such great storytelling skills.
Thank you.
But clearly, because you've lived a really big life. Okay, so hit us up with the floating prison of shame.
Oh my goodness. Well, definitely let's preface it by saying the worst moments of our life become our greatest teachers. So I was transitioning from stand-up comedy into the speaking world, and I caught up with an agent, and they got this random booking, and it was like, hey, we're looking for a comedian on a cruise ship. And I was like, that is me. I'm there. I'll do it. It was like within 48 hours, go, go, go. And so at that point, I'd done 2 shows in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. I was a social media comedian. So the only material that I had was social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram wasn't even around then, and generational stuff. So I rock up on the cruise ship. I go to do my first show. There's like 200 people. I'm saying all of my jokes, the stuff that just hit so well in Melbourne. Blank stares, silence, crickets. I don't even know how to describe the feeling when there's that dead air that like sucks all the life and energy out of you. It's one of the most grueling things to experience. And I could see like couples looking at their watch twice, talking to partners, shaking their heads. Like it was a horror. And because it was a brand new experience, I'd never been on a cruise ship, I didn't quite know what to expect. And I'm going through, and then there's this heckle from the back. And this man who is in his 80s yells out, "You're the worst comedian I've ever seen. Get off the ship." And so my brain is going, the comedian in me is wanting to like come back with a comeback. But the part of me that signed a contract and was like, no, don't get kicked off because I don't know where I am, somewhere in between Australia and somewhere. I just sort of sucked it up, kept going, swallowed that humiliation, quietly left the stage, and then had a second show that night, same material, more humiliation. It was horrendous. And then I discovered that the median age on the cruise ship on that particular one was 70 to 80 years old. And so, as we know, the older you get, the less of a filter you have. And everyone felt like it was their right to tell me how bad I was. Like there was a guy here in his 80s who comes up to me and he's like, "Me and my friends are in our 80s and I just want to let you know that we don't use social media and we didn't like your show." There were some Aussie guys. There's this Aussie guy and he's like, we heard you had a really rough night, tough crowd. Don't sit with us. We don't want to be seen with you." Like it was actually relentless. And then
You're ostracized.
it was crazy. People are yelling and pointing at me. "There she is, that disastrous comedian." I'm sitting near the buffet and this couple come up to me and they're like, "Can we sit with you?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, salvation." Sits down. He goes, "I just want to let you know that your first joke got everybody offside." It was endless. And so then I'm at the lift and the lift's open and it was the heckler. It was a man in his 80s and he goes, "There she is, that disastrous comedian from last night." So from that point, I was like, oh my God, I can't even be seen in public. It was just, I've never experienced anything quite like that.
Is there a moment between the first show and the second show where you were like, do I have the chops to like rework, rewrite, or like what made you just like stay the course? Like maybe it'll be different.
Can I rephrase that question? What I hear is,
Sure.
why were you so stupid and foolish to go and hit them with exactly the same material when you saw how I landed the first time?
Quite thinking that, but when you put it that way, I suppose it is more direct and to the point. What were you thinking?
So it was early in my career and I didn't have the confidence that I have now. And so much planning and preparation went into it. And so I had I wrote specific cruise ship jokes and then it was also structured and I was so rigid at that time and I didn't have the confidence, really. I didn't have the confidence and the flex to go, I'm just going to change absolutely everything because this audience needs something different. I didn't read the room. I was so focused on what I wanted to do that I wasn't seeing who was in front of me, which is a critical lesson when you're dealing with any audience and in any form of communication, connection, influence. So I'll just say I was green and I learned a lot. Whereas now, if I can see within a minute that a joke doesn't land, I call it out. I'm like, okay, well, that one didn't work well. Let's try another one. Like now I'm like all about acknowledging the awkward moments. I love awkward moments, but back then I wanted to hide from them. And I was a massive perfectionist. So I was just so focused on what do I need to do in this moment to get through it rather than going, okay, what's happening here? And how do I best navigate this?
When I first started speaking, I would learn word for word, like a script, because I had an acting background. So I'm like, yeah, I know I can write and I know that I can learn lines. So I learnt every word. And if I was doing like an hour, a full keynote, I would learn the whole thing, practice it over and over and over. Whereas now I'll write some points and just like wing it and use whatever is happening on the day and whatever. And you're absolutely right. It takes, yes, confidence, but also experience so that you can trust yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Trust that you can say the right thing at the right time.
Yeah. And there's a safety that we feel in scripting.
Yeah.
That is a false sense of security. And so when we rehearse, we think it provides us with safety, but if you forget one part, the whole thing unravels. And really, you've got no space to breathe. You can't actually be truly present with your audience if you're focused on scripting, because a part of your brain is always going to be focused on what actually comes next. And
Absolutely.
I think it's 100% experience. You need to trust yourself that you will be able to carry yourself and do the best thing in the moment for that audience, irrespective of what's happening. And that comes with time, definitely.
Then how would you say that can relate to somebody listening who doesn't talk to an audience? Like that, I guess, the capacity to trust yourself and your ability to connect authentically, not even trying to be funny or trying to be profound or inspirational or anything. Like, how do you think you get better at that?
I think we need to just know that anything that we come in with that is scripted or planned or prepared means there's a barrier between us and whoever we're communicating with. So the moment we come in with anything that we think we need to say, we can't be truly present because we're focusing on what am I going to say next. We're never going to fully be hearing, seeing, or listening. So the best way to be present in any authentic conversation is, how do I make this person feel seen? How do I make them feel heard? What do they really need from me right now? If we're totally focused on what is happening in them, then that's the best thing that we can give someone else. And then we're giving the best part of us in the process.
Which is so interesting because we often come into a conversation going, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, and I want them to know what is on my mind, right? So it's
100%.
literally approaching it from the opposite.
Yes. And I teach public speaking training.
Oh.
You know, one of the big lessons in public speaking is we need to shift our mindset. It's actually never about us. We're always so focused, all of the insecurities that we have, which is, you know, they're going to judge me, or I'm going to stuff up, or my content's not going to be good enough, or they're not going to like me. It's all I. We need to reshift our focus and go, how do I make this the best experience for them? How do I have the best conversation possible for this group or this person right now? How do I make this experience with you right now on this podcast the best experience possible? It's actually never about us. It's only when we think it's about us that all of our fears and insecurities kick in. And that's applicable to every form of communication.
And again, that takes practice, right? It really takes practice. I think that so many people are brought up not to rock the boat, keeping the peace, all of that sort of stuff. Don't be messy, you know, don't be too loud, all of that stuff. So when you're really coming into any kind of form of conversation and that's your lens, as I don't want to, you know, I don't know, ruin things, or like, you know, I think that it's, I think that's, I love that.
I was going to say that word that you mentioned, messy. I love mess.
Yeah.
We need to love the messy stuff, because unless we're doing the stuff that's messy and the stuff that is chaotic and the stuff that doesn't go as planned, we're never going to get to that space of true confidence and true freedom. We don't just get there because we learn tools or techniques or tactics. That's great. But we need all of the stuff that we don't think we can do to navigate that, to realize that we actually can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't start prepared, right? You start messy and then you work it out along the way.
And
that's with everything.
It.
Yeah. No matter what you're doing. You talk about reframing, imagining, and what if as tools, right? You talk about sort of imagining. Talk to me a bit more about that, about the what if tool that you use to help people to get out of their own way, I suppose.
So I use the what if in a couple of different contexts. So one is whenever I have a what if, it's not like, oh, what if something goes wrong? It's always like, what if something goes right? So that's an important platform to start with. We want to
100%.
imagine and we want to create what's actually going to be an amazing outcome, not allow our fear to take us in the wrong direction.
Because it's just as likely, right?
100%.
Possibly even more so. Yeah.
100%. And we're in charge of it.
Mm.
You know, it's funny. Often people will ask me, how do you get through the fear of stand-up? How did you actually start? I don't think about how scary it's actually going to be at the outcome. I'm just so focused on following the passion and the drive and the flow and the joy in the moment of going, oh, the writing's fun, the creating's fun. I don't think about the fear I'm going to feel at the end until I get to the end. And then I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this? How do I get out of here? Panic. So I think that...
So the end, are you talking about walking on stage is the end, or the end of the set?
No, so walking on stage. Like when I
walking on stage
stand up, I never once thought about how scary is that 5 minutes going to be when I start. I was so focused on enjoying every single part of the journey that I never got stuck by the fear on the way. It was only when I got to that first night of doing 5 minutes that I was like, why did I sign up for this? And I think that what traps a lot of people is we're so focused on forecasting the negative what ifs along the way that stops us in our tracks.
Yeah, it's so true. It's interesting you say that, because I focus on the 5 minutes after I finish. So I think about, I think about my entire lead up. Like it's a mindset technique often used by athletes, things like that. So you just visualize yourself after it's done and how freaking awesome you feel and how amazing you were and how everybody just adores you. And that's what really drives me, basically, the adoration that I'm going to experience at the end. And I figure whatever happens on stage, that's not my responsibility. All I know is I'm going to get to that lovely bit at the end. So that's okay.
Amazing.
Everything will be okay.
But to answer the question, how do I use what if? So
sure.
A big roadblock that we actually have when it comes to speaking, presenting, putting ourselves out there, doesn't matter what we're actually doing, big stuff, small stuff. we're so blocked by the societal conditioning of don't shine too bright, don't be too amazing, don't say you're amazing, don't humble brag, all of the don'ts that we're so unwilling to connect with our truth and what actually makes us amazing and what makes us different and what makes us unique. And so I use a game of imagination. And so I get people out of their left brain of the limitations and the habits and the processes and the thoughts that bog us down by saying, let's just imagine that you were somebody else. Imagine that you were someone that loved public speaking right now and you just loved it and all your colleagues. So we play a game of imagination so that they're not trapped by the default thinking that we're in all of the time. And we go into this playful state. And when we're in a playful state, we're out of our normal routines and habits and we're able to actually come up with stuff that normally in our blocked state, we wouldn't be able to actually even create or conceive or conceptualize.
Yeah, genius, right? Just putting yourself into, I guess, the mindset or the thinking of somebody who is what you're moving towards. I love it. I love it.
100%. And it's a game. Like, I'm magician, mentalist, players.
Oh, we are getting to that. I'm so interested.
You don't even know how I got into that. Wait till that was
like I'm just moving towards it. I'm breadcrumbing the audience. Your awesomeness is just like too much to behold in one moment.
Can I just like quote you with that line? That's amazing. Greatest line. Greatest
Your
line.
awesomeness is too much to behold. You need a t-shirt. My awesomeness is too much to behold.
I know. Oh, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so play. Sorry, just to finish that point.
Okay, go on.
Play is the most powerful way to learn. It's the most powerful way to break limitations. It's the most powerful way to get us out of an I can't mindset. It's the most powerful tool I've found in all of the teachings and learnings that I've done in my career.
Amazing. And it's also, I believe, like the missing ingredient in so many people's lives. We get so full of a sense of responsibility and all the shoulds and everything that we have to do and all of this like striving. And we forget about the things that we do purely for pleasure, for joy, for flow. Play is something that I talk about a lot as well. And you just take it to the next level. I love that.
We need to catch up. We need to catch up and just have just do magic tricks for like hours.
Oh, just stop it. I am somebody who loves magic. I love the Penn and Teller show. I love Magic for Humans.
Yeah.
I love, the wonder in magic. I have never grown out of, and I hope I never do. Yeah. And mentalism, though, is a different thing, right? And I don't fully understand it.
Okay.
But it's super cool, right? It's super cool because you're essentially getting people to believe what you want them to believe. It's magic without all of the props, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into mentalism? How did you go from comedy to mentalism? And then, tell us about it.
So I live in Melbourne and we had more lockdowns than any city in the entire world. And during that time, I had done every single thing you could. I was 38 single. I had done speed dating on Zoom. I baked all the sourdough bread. I did cooking classes. I painted. I drew. Everything in my apartment was covered in glitter glue and sparkles, like everything. And so it got to lockdown number, I don't remember. And I was doing this online course and the challenge was try something new and be a beginner. And I was like, I'm maxed out. Like I've done every single thing that I could possibly imagine. So I was like, I wonder if I could learn magic. So I went online to YouTube and I typed in learn kids magic trick. I learned how to make a crayon disappear and I fell madly in love. And it was so profound because in that moment, I was like, in that moment of awe and wonder, I disconnected from the chaos outside of me and I was fully present and fully immersed in this playful state. And it was so powerful because it allowed me to tune out what was going on around me and just become super present. So that's how I fell in love with it. And when I decide I like something, I go, 110%. So I started to learn magic and mentalism. And mentalism, I describe it, it's a branch of magic. Some mentalists would disagree with me because, they're different disciplines. But for me, it's more the mind reading stuff, less props, no illusions, but more of the mind reading stuff, which for me makes me go, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Like it really boggles your mind. And so that's why I was much more intrigued by that than like big scale illusions, which is totally not my jam at all. And there's a concept in magic and mentalism, like pack small, plays big. So you don't really need to take a lot for it to have a huge impact. And then also body language, linguistics is all part of it as well. So it just naturally fit with everything else that I was doing. And I love it. I take it whenever a corporate client says, yes, they're up for it, I bring it in. And it's incredible because I can tell the way someone lives their entire life by the way that they respond to a magic or a mentalism effect. So the crazy thing is that unlike any other discipline or industry or job in the world, the moment we see a magic effect, we're all brought into the present moment. And we all, irrespective of who we are, we have this internal thought that's like, how did they do that? Which you don't hear anyone asking an accountant, how did you put that spreadsheet together? I need to know how. It doesn't happen. And it's because magic has this power and it connects with the part of us that is powerful because we're like, hang on a second, if you could do that, that means that somehow, I don't know how, but I know that I can do that as well.
But also, I think because we spend so much time bogged down in like sort of this like sort of heaviness of like reality and responsibility, it sort of transcends all of that. It really does transcend into this place of wonder. And there's not enough opportunities for that as an adult. As kids, often there's wonder everywhere. And I try to keep that sense of awe and wonder, but I think that things that are just like thrown up in front of you that are just really like, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Is it hard to learn?
No. You just have to have the love for it because you can't do it without the sense, in my opinion, I don't think you can really do it with love without the sense of wonder yourself. And I think that is what a lot of us are missing. So I learned really quickly, people either love magic or they hate it. So they either love it because they're still open with that beautiful sense of wonder, or they saw a clown in grade 3 and decided they hate magic and clowns and put it all in the same category. So I'm very cautious when it comes to introducing magic because if someone's like, oh, I love it, that's amazing, but you don't want to push magic on someone that does not believe and is closed-minded to it. But I want to finish the point I said before, which was I can tell someone how someone lives their entire life by the way they respond. So we either go, oh my God, right brain, how did you do that? I don't need to know. I'm just going to stay in this beautiful space of wonder and play. Or we go left brain, how did you do that? Do that again. I want to work out how. So I can tell the way someone responds is literally like, are you analytical and are you logical or are you creative and playful? It's crazy.
I think I'm a bit of both because I have a deep sense of curiosity and an enormous sense of awe. But so mentalism, to my understanding, does often look like you are reading someone's mind. You mentioned before that it's linguistics. I do NLP as that's part of my shtick. So is it that like we're looking for the language cues, or is it
before you
almost like
that sentence? I have to tell you that the magician's code is that you can't describe how an effect works unless the person wants to be a magician themselves.
Yes, good, fair. Stop me in my tracks. Yeah, good. All right, great.
But what I did deduce from that is that right after you do your first 5 minutes of comedy, I think I've got to recommend a really good mentalism book or video because I feel like it's the next journey in your big stuff adventure.
Well, it just adds another element to everything, particularly if you are forward facing, you're on stage, stuff like that, and very handy at dinner parties. You must be, invited to lots of dinner parties because of your awesomeness. Very fun to have at a dinner party.
I don't get extra invitations, but when I do pull out a deck of cards, it's a neutralizer, and like it just attracts. Even the people that don't think they're interested are so interested because they want to disprove. So I'm like, come on, try and work it out. I love it when I get the theories. Oh, I think I know how that works. I'm like, keep going. Hit me.
Do you judge people for how they like the way people respond to it? Are you like, yeah, I pegged that, and how annoying are you? Or are you okay? Great.
No, I love it. Do you know what the reactions are so unexpected? I would never be able to even guess it.
Yeah, wow.
Sometimes people will just do this crazy laugh. I did a corporate event and I had this awesome effect that I love to do on stage. And I have a volunteer for the volunteer because often under the spotlight, we have to choose a card and we get all flushed. So I got a volunteer up. The volunteer swore on stage and I was like, oh my God, that was not part of it. So you just have no idea because she was so shocked that the F-bomb dropped out. And I was like, I'm sorry, that was totally not part of it. Like so much of it is unscripted because that moment of awe, we have no idea. How wonderful is the
element of
wonderful?
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. You like to set yourself a challenge. You set
Wait,
yourself the challenge.
Can I stop
Yes.
that? I don't like to set myself a challenge. I think I just
Ah.
I know. I don't go, I'm just going to have this challenge and go and do it. I get an idea and I follow it without thinking about what's going to happen in the outcome.
Okay. You're going to share in a moment a story about Zuckerberg. But what I want to ask before that is, has that urge or I don't know, I don't even know if you would call it an urge, that ability to act without thinking, has that always served you well?
Creatively, for sure. Because I wouldn't say it's without.
Personally?
I'm pretty impulsive. But also,
What's the most impulsive thing that you've done, do you think?
But the benefit is what you see is what you get. So like you can't, can't get much past this. The most impulsive thing, I'm going to say it's I would say it's either just jumping into stand up because that was like, I don't think much. I just do. I think everything has been pretty impulsive. It's like when I decided I wanted to do magic, I was like, okay, I'm going to take this into corporate and just created the magic keynote and just went, hey, here it is. And it took me about 1.5 years to actually get the industry ready for it. I'm often ready before, I can see that the movement is ready to actually take place. Everything I do is pretty, I'd say creatively inspired rather than impulsive. I think that's a better way to phrase it.
Love that so much. The universe drops you the next part or the next direction for you to go in and you say yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Did you just finger gun? Did you give me finger guns?
Oh, no, I just went, shoo.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. No,
Well, it's
that
more like
was the
that.
click,
It's like
the click and point, not a finger gun.
No, I didn't do finger guns.
There's no judgment here on big stuff, Jordana. All of you is welcome here. Tell us about deciding that you were going to meet Mark Zuckerberg.
Hands down, one of the greatest quests of my life. Open to interpretation, but that's definitely my feeling. So, as I said, I was a social media comedian, so that was my total jam. It was in the peak Twitter, Facebook era. And I had done my first show in the festival, which was called Social Media, the Epidemic, which was about my addiction to social media, the enforced detox I took, and the lessons that I learned. So it gets to the end of that year, and I was going to America for a digital summit, and then I was like, this idea just drops in. I'm like, what if I could go and meet Mark Zuckerberg, tell him my favorite 5 minutes of Facebook jokes, make him laugh? How amazing would that be? Because I realized that the power of comedy is immense and that you can get people from all walks of life to be instantly in the same moment together purely through laughter. So I was like, how can I use this incredible tool to connect with anyone? So I thought I need to stand out because I can't go to Silicon Valley just looking like everybody else. So I was like, I wonder what could I do? I need a costume. And I was like, I don't want to be like, just every other costume that you see at Halloween parties. So I thought, I wonder if anyone's actually dressed up like a giant light. So I went onto Google and I was like, giant light costume. I see nothing. Giant Facebook costume, nothing. So I was like, ding, ding, ding. And I only got it was a very short window. So I got neoprene, which is wetsuit material, because I was going to New York. The plan was Dallas Digital Summit, then New York for Vox Pops, and then Silicon Valley. And I was also doing some stand-up in New York. Yes.
You were in New York, you had to get the neoprene, and you were going to Silicon Valley.
Yes, so I had to find a tailor here who could make this huge outfit, and it was massive. It was like, it went from my neck all the way down to the top of my knees, and it was this giant thumb, blue and white thumb. So I go to the Dallas Digital Summit where Steve Wozniak was presenting and Randy Zuckerberg, who's Mark's sister, and Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. So I meet Steve Wozniak, who was amazing, and I had this Zucker up top, and I go up to him and I tell him about my quest. He makes me a video and he's like, Laughter is the greatest thing in the world. Jordana, I wish you good luck on your quest. So everything's amazing. I told Randy and she gave me 2 thumbs up of support. Susan Bennett gave me a message of support. So everything was awesome. I'm doing Vox Pops in Times Square and I'm like, do you think that Mark will like me? Half the people were like, who's Mark? And then half of them were like, yeah, he needs to. He better meet you. Like, it was crazy. So I get to Facebook's headquarters and it's like a university campus. And I was so scared because like the confident, amazing social media comedian that I'd been promoting it for the previous 2-3 weeks, I get there, I'm terrified because I'm like alone in a rental car. I'm like, am I even allowed to be here? Is this private property? Am I going to get sued for copyright infringement? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So putting the costume on was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. I was literally standing over the boot going, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But the part of me that had been promoting it was like, you have to. So I was squashed into this place of there's absolutely no choice. Put the costume over my head and instantly it was like staff came to take photos and I was told I made their intranet and everyone was smiling and laughing. And I kept asking, is Mark here? Is Mark here? And then someone said, why don't you stand outside the sign tomorrow morning between 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. That way everyone coming in will see you. So I'm standing outside the huge sign the next morning and buses are driving past and kids are taking photos and cheering and tooting and everything's amazing. And then the comms guy comes out after about an hour and he's like, I'm the comms guy, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm a social media comedian and I'm here to meet Mark and I love social media and I love Facebook and I'm addicted. And he's like, look, Mark's away on holidays and we've got a really good relationship with the Menlo Park police and they've said that a giant like is a distraction to the people driving past. So encouraging me to wrap it up, I said, please, can I have a tour? And he's like, but we don't normally do this, but you've come all this way. So no photos, costume in the car, come in. So I go in and it was when it was really cool to sign in on an iPad, like peak 2013 era.
Yeah.
Signing
High tech.
Amazing. Amazing. Sign in on the iPad. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm living my dream. I've done it. I'm in. I'm going to get a tour. I don't get to meet Mark, but oh my God, what an incredible experience. Sign in on the iPad. Security gives me a pass. Comms guy gets a call, turns around, turns back at me and he says, were you outside Mark's house last night? You know that moment when someone's asking you something that you know is not true, but you know whatever you're going to say is going to seem like it's not the right answer. So my body just went into full, oh my gosh, my voice goes up 3 octaves. I get all red and hot and I can still feel it now in my system. My hands get all sweaty and I'm like, no, I have no idea where he lives. And every part of me made it seem as though what I was saying was completely false, even though I was telling the absolute truth.
It's like when the police start driving behind you and you're like, oh, I'm sure I'm carrying a kilo of cocaine in my boot and you've never had a line in your life. Or, you know, they ask you to blow into the thing. Have you had a drink today? And you're like, oh.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. And it's because I wasn't grounded in my body. I was so wired and so hyped up that I didn't have any of the skills that I now have. I wasn't breathing properly at that point in time. I was so not in my body. I was so just like hyped up with the experience that my physiology just went to I was in a completely different state. Had I had done any of the stuff that I now do to ground myself before events and before comedy and stuff like that, it would have been a very different experience. And so, yeah, that was escorted off the property. It was far.
Disgraced.
It was
in disgrace.
So I don't know what happened with the inner workings, but all I know is that I was off fast and I went to the closest Starbucks and I was so sad. I got a pumpkin spice latte and it was the saddest coffee. I was like, I failed. But then I looked through my photos and I was like, hang on a second. I met Steve Wozniak. I got a video from Woz. I got a video from Randy Zuckerberg. I met Susan Bennett. I did all these Vox Pops. I'm like, I haven't failed at all. Like what I thought was failure, which was not meeting Mark, this was actually the most incredible creative campaign that I've ever done in my entire life. And the purpose was to connect. I didn't connect with him, but I connected with this person and that person and this person. So it took a little bit of time, but I was like, this was actually an incredible experience. And to come back to what you asked me at the very start, even though that was so sad in that moment, part of me was like, this is an amazing story. So anything you're going through right now is going to turn into an incredible story and really pivotal. For me, it was such a pivotal lesson and learning in life to stay grounded in our physical body and how important our nonverbal cues are in every single experience, because our body, our energy speaks volumes. So I could have said anything in that moment, but if my voice is shaky and my hands are shaky and I'm sweaty in any instance, doesn't matter what he asked me, Like we believe the body.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't it like 80% of communication is the body?
So
Is body language?
55, 38, 7
Uh,
rule. It's a bit controversial, but according to that, 55% is body language, 38% is voice and tone, and 7% is the spoken word. That particular study related to the way we express when we're expressing emotion and meaning. So it was quite specific in the way that it sort of related to that study. But yes, I like to use that when I teach public speaking because we're so focused on what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? You know, when it comes to any kind of
what about
conversation or
how am I going to show up?
yeah, any discussion at work or personal life, it's like, what am I going to say? And it's like, if we're not thinking about tone and voice and arms and hands and body and eyes, you can have the most amazing message in the world, but you're not going to connect.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
most of our conversations in life, we're thinking about the wrong thing, which is the words, not how do I stay grounded in this beautiful physical vessel that I have?
You said something interesting a moment ago about the tools that you use to ground yourself before you go on stage or before you have like a big conversation or whatever. I think tell us what you do to ground yourself, because everyone, no matter what they're doing, have moments where they feel really wobbly, they feel very heightened, they feel like they're about to squeak and look guilty. And what do you suggest to ground yourself before a big moment?
I still get nervous, which I love. People ask me that, and I'm like, I absolutely do. And I love that because I know that it's my body getting me ready to go into a heightened state of energy. So that's one thing, is the mindset of going, my body's actually working for me, not against me with these nerves. We don't want to resist them because then that creates more tension. Couple of core tools is I had no idea how to breathe for the first 5 years of my comedy career. I would breathe in and out and get really dizzy. And I would do a comedy festival season and then get the flu. And I thought that was totally normal, but it happened because I had no idea how to actually manage my physiology. And then I would just collapse after this massive expansion of energy. So I was trying so many different modalities, and one was Feldenkrais, which is Alexander technique. And I learned a breathing technique, which is breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and then breathe out for 4. 2 reasons why it's so critical is, one is if we're focused on numbers, we can't also be worried about anxious thoughts. So it totally brings us into the present moment. But even more than that is what happens is when we get nervous, our physiology takes over. And if our physiology takes over and we have a disconnect between our brain and our body, it's really hard to come back from that. So we want to learn, how do I manage my nerves when they're down here so that they only ever get to up here? And so when we're doing that counting system, it's our brain showing our body, no, I'm actually going to control this and I'm going to manage this. So it's evidence in real life that we can actually manage our physiology when our fear tries to ambush us. So always 4-2-4. Dancing and singing, huge, massive. The part of us that can give us away the most, like what happened at Facebook, is our voice. So if we're dancing and singing, like using our vocals before, it's a really good way to exercise those first nerves that can actually show up through our vocal cords, as you would know. And then also, we've got all this extra energy. We need to actually manage it. So if we're dancing and singing, it's a really good way to move the stress hormones and the adrenaline through our system, because it's either going to, in my experience, it's either going to block us or it's going to come out in a way that we don't want. So it either blocks and restricts us. We get we get red hot, we choke up here,
Right.
or it comes out through our sweat, through shaking. So the more we can activate it and move it and work with it before it becomes time to actually begin, the better we're going to be when we actually start. And then
physiologically, excitement and nerves are the same thing, right? Yeah. So it's just it's the way that we perceive it. So I'm so excited. My heart is racing and I'm like, right, I'm really here for this. Or you can be like, oh, I'm bricking it and this is really challenging for me. Have you done much live TV?
Have I done much live? I do live radio.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think live TV. So I've done a lot of different things. Acting was part of my when I was coming up. I was in acting, but nothing gets me like live TV. Like live stage is exciting, but live TV. The first time I did it, I literally thought I was going to poo my pants on the big yellow couch at the morning show.
And now you're always wearing nappy?
What? Yeah, the brown safety pants.
Chemist Warehouse. Where are the medium size public speaking pants? Thank you.
Speaking pants. That's what they should be called. But everything was shaky on the insides. And when I look back at it, in the green room, I was doing 4-8 breathing. So breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8. It's a similar technique. That extra long breath out is a great signal for the vagus nerve to calm down. I was doing that, and I have a little mantra that I say when I'm feeling particularly nervous as well, which is just do what you're here. Just do what you're here to do. Just do what you're here to do. Because it's when you get all that, it's just do what you're here to do. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
And when I see that back, I actually looked chill. So I think it's also really interesting to note that sometimes what's going on internally is so different to how you come across. And if you can just get yourself through those first few moments, your body does start to relax and recognize that you're safe here. Like, it's okay. You're doing the thing. It is okay.
100%. Our fear makes everything feel way more intense than it actually is. And I've seen in my public speaking workshops, it's like someone will get up and they're super composed and they sit down, they're like, oh my God, that was terrible. And I'm like, no one can actually see what you're feeling. And whatever you're feeling is amplified 100-fold because that voice in your mind is actually saying it was worse than it actually was. So yes, 100% relate to that. So often we're like, oh my God, everyone could see me shaking. And we're like, no, you actually carried yourself incredibly well.
Yeah. You talk about conviction and owning your truth and the power that there is in that. How, like, you weren't stalking Zuckerberg in that specific instance. You weren't stalking Zuckerberg. Was your conviction, like, you were telling the truth? Was it a lack of conviction or simply that biology just giving you away?
Fear. No, it was just fear. It was fear. I was asked a question I wasn't prepared for, right? There was
and what did you think? You were scared that, where did your brain go?
Well, I think my brain went into, what are they thinking? My brain went into, what is this question? What are they actually asking me? And then what's the implication of that? And that just terrified me.
Yeah, I'm going to be arrested. I'm going to be deported. I'm going to be, like, did you go all the way down the rabbit hole or not even that?
Go that dark.
I'm going to be thrown in Guantanamo Bay.
But I had the weight of having promoted it and having this dream and having this idea that I was about to fulfill this huge quest that had taken me 16,000 kilometers across the world and thousands of dollars. So that was also the crushing of the big goal in that moment also was like, oh my gosh. So there was a lot of layers that maybe if I lived in Silicon Valley and just happened to drive there in my own car and thought, oh, I'll just do this, all of the weight and the anticipation that went into that moment would be very different. But I had also envisioned it to be a certain way. And so I think that also was part of the impact on me as well, which is, what this has not happened.
Skin in the game, right? It's skin in the game.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to realize that you weren't a failure?
Oh, wow. In life?
Oh, wow. That escalated quickly. No, just on that quest. I mean, answer any way you like, but just let's keep it to that quest for the moment. We can broaden it out. By the way, I think you're doing very well.
I would say at least.
So you've got your pumpkin chai latte.
Yeah,
you're feeling pretty glum.
Lots of messages with friends.
Okay.
That was my lifeline was, oh my God, what just happened? Trying to actually process it. Also really relieved that my Facebook account stayed alive. That was a fear as well. I was like, oh my God, they're going to deactivate my Facebook account.
Yeah, right. And you were addicted, right? So,
yeah, 100% addicted. So
imagine that, being kicked off Facebook for literally kicked out for your bad behavior or perceived bad behavior.
So
wow.
I had amazing friends who helped me move through it pretty fast. I'd say within 2 hours. And what I did was I was like, okay, well, if that hasn't happened, I'm going to go to Apple and I'm going to go to Google. So I went to the closest, what's the printing place? Staples. and printed out. I kind of remember, I've got photos, what was on these signs, and I went to Google's headquarters and I went to Apple's headquarters and I took photos on their campuses, and my ethos was like, well, you wouldn't take me, so now I'll go here. So I made the most of like my time in Silicon Valley. So quick turnaround, very fast. I was like, onto what can I, and that's always been, I think that's my comedy mindset is like, okay, that didn't work. How do I make the best out of this situation? So this didn't go to plan. What's the next best thing that I can create in this moment with these resources right now? And I always do that.
Resilience.
Based on the tone in your voice, maybe not.
No, like I'm trying to, like, what superpower is that? Is it resilience? Is it, what is it?
I'm going to say
What would you
it's a combination of, I think resilience is the outcome. I think creativity is the superpower. Resilience is what I get from it. Because in fact, it's like if you look at the bad date, it's like that could have torn me down. I might have never dated again, but I was like, no. How do I use this to the best possible? That cruise ship alone, that could stop a comedian or a performer in their tracks. That experience was big and weighty and intense enough that I could have gone, I'm not cut out for this.
I'm bad at this. Yeah.
I don't want to have this experience ever again. I'm going to change careers. Like it's big enough, but there's something, I think it's creativity. I'm going to say.
No, I do. I kind of think it must be a sense of resilience that says, I can think about this creatively.
Yeah.
I can think about this in a different way and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what resilience is, right? It's the capacity to recognize that you're in a challenging bit and keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it comes, all of those, like to be in a situation where I'm humiliated and then to go, okay, I'm not going to let that stop me or break me or tear me down. I'm going to use it to empower me for what's next. That definitely came from what I learned in comedy. And I think
that's amazing because humiliation, in any form, even just like, because humiliation is often even just a perceived thing, nothing to do with other people, right? Or people don't care. They forget about it quite quickly. But to be able to use that to drive you rather than send you dashing home under the doona.
Really, truly. And I think that is probably a common theme with all the stories that are in the book. It's like moment of humiliation. How do I turn this into a strength or a superpower? And I think that we're so afraid of the things that make us cringe. We're so afraid of the moments that we think didn't go to plan. We're so afraid of the humiliating moments. Whereas I'm like, no, let's open it up. Let's discuss it. Let's analyze it. And let's work out what from that I can take to not just empower other people, not just make them laugh, but like, how do we get the lessons out of this? How do we find the gold? I'm always about how do we find the gold in every situation.
I love it. You talk about visionaries and people being, do you think everybody is a visionary or only some people?
I think we've all got the capacity to, but it's how much do you let yourself dream? How much do you let yourself imagine? And then how much action comes after the dreaming and the imagining? You've done NLP, so everyone has limitless potential. It's just how much expression do you give to it? How much do you follow your joy? How much permission do you give yourself to make the mistakes and to have the mess on the way to doing the things that actually light your heart on fire?
What is it that stops people?
Humiliation, fear, judgment. Whenever I do public speaking workshops, we start with get your fears out. What is the scariest thing? What is the worst thing that could happen in your process of expression? What are the greatest fears? Judgment is always there, always. So judgment and humiliation, I think, are the two things that block most of us. And the sad thing is that it's all in our mind, because what I think you might think, number one, completely factually inaccurate, can't verify. And if anyone even does judge you in that moment, it lasts for a second. Whereas we hold on to the judgment and allow it to block us, and we're the only ones carrying it for that duration of time. So, and it comes because I've had a lot of experiences where I've held on to things for a long time, and then I got to the end of it and I'm like, that was exhausting. I'm tired. Yeah. Why did I do that? Let it go.
Yeah, because it really doesn't matter, right? But at 2 a.m. in the deep, dark depths of the night,
yes,
it really matters. It matters so much that you think about it over and over. Yeah, I think there is so much strength in being able to let go of the fear of other people's opinions and also that judgment of yourself in any aspects, not just public speaking or being seen in any avenue in your life.
Yeah. And I think we all have the experience of knowing what it feels like to hold on to it for months or weeks or days or years, and then to get to a point where we feel so much exhaustion from it that we have a choice in that moment to go, I'm never going to do that again, or I'm still going to sit with this. And I always go with I'm not, like the moment I have that insight and realization, I go, I'm not doing this again, because what's the point? I will ruminate over something that didn't go the way that I wanted it to. I'm the only one thinking about it 6 weeks later, 6 months later. So I think that's where it came from. I did an event and I went way over time. As you would know, the worst thing a speaker can do is go over time. I was given a 75-minute spot and I was like, 75 minutes. It was very early in my speaking career. So I was like, whoa, I'm going to just pack in content. I ended up going for 95 minutes. They had to cut the closing keynote by half an hour.
Yeah.
Whole agenda was pushed back. Everyone loved it. It was the most fun session ever. But I spent the next 6 weeks going, I'm never going to get another job. The agent hates me. The people hate me. Oh my God. And I just spent 6 weeks criticizing myself and going over and over to the point where I was so exhausted. And I was like, the only person this is affecting is me. And so from that moment, it was a clear choice of going, you know what? Spend a couple of hours, get the lessons, and then keep going.
Yeah. To somebody who is sitting in the space of imagining, dreaming, desiring something different to where they are, no matter, how successful they are or what's going on, somebody who is ready to step into their visionary, their next era of being a visionary and creating all the things that they can imagine. Someone on the precipice or someone just hanging back, what would you say to them?
I would say follow the joy. Find whatever lights you up and allows you to be so immersed in the experience, in the moment, in the project, in the idea that the outside world loses its noise and loses its impact. Follow that, because we need that spark. We need that joy. That's what actually drives us. That's what always has driven me. I focus so much on, oh my God, what do I love about this so much? And that provides me with the fuel, the energy, recharges my internal cup, which allows me to give more to others. So that would be it. It's like, find the part that just lights you up and feeds your spirit and follow that. Because that is what allows you to stop the outside noise.
Of course.
Like if that becomes so beautifully loud and that overpowers everything, then the rest becomes insignificant.
Yeah. It's the conviction in your own sense of joy.
And I would 100%. And I would also say, be willing to just make mistakes, be willing to mess stuff up, be willing you're going to fall and rise. Comedy was the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like nothing I've ever done has just gone like that. Dips, detours, drops, falls, cradling myself in fetus position. And then, amazing jumps and dives. So I think don't predict the way it's actually going to take shape as well. Be open to
let go of the expectation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still or would you still do a stand-up gig?
So I write customized jokes for every corporate audience. So especially if I'm emceeing and the audience is, let's say, accountants, I'll write jokes on finance and accountants. So I'm still very much doing a lot of stand-up in that respect. And then every keynote mentalism show or, workshop that I do, I've got spontaneous humor through the whole thing. Like I learning.
Because you're a funny broad, right?
But also we need to learn and laugh at the same time, because it allows us to actually retain the information and it opens our hearts and it makes us, concentrate, helps our message land. So that's a critical part. Straight stand up, I'd go if someone invited me.
My first show, you mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm there for that. I'm already backstage with you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm filming you. I'm taking your social media content, the whole thing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like I did that. I learned all the lessons I could possibly learn. And now I just keep going on to the next phases. So I wouldn't rule it out, but everything I do is I do it for a period of time, not intentionally. I'll do it. I'll soak it up. I'll immerse myself. I'll get all the lessons and then next iteration, next idea. That's sort of how it rolls.
So if Netflix approached you and they were like, hey,
So if you approach me.
okay, so if
Like, no,
anyone
yeah.
from Netflix is listening, comedy, mentalist, inspiration, like it's all going to be wrapped up in this hour. It's going to be amazing,
100%.
and the world needs it.
100%. You're my director.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait. What is next for you? Where are you going? What are you doing?
Amazing question, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I whatever inspiration drops in, I'll follow it because I always do. And I love what I'm doing. I do so much. There's so much variety between public speaking training and keynotes and emceeing, and I love the onstage stuff. I love the offstage stuff. So yeah, wherever my inspiration takes me,
Yeah. Awesome.
and wherever they keep yes to magic.
Sorry?
Wherever they keep saying yes to magic, I'm there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, this conversation has been absolutely magic. I have found it very inspirational in many ways, not just who you are, how you live, but also the little nuggets of gold that you've sown for us along the way. It's been really awesome. How do we find you? Where do we stay in touch with you? I will put everything in the show notes, obviously. There is the Little Book of Influence. Where can we get this?
Thank you. So Little Book of Influence is available Amazon and most good bookshops. Well, actually, they're all good, but you can find it. I've got a website.
Just find it. Look online, people.
Yeah, basically, it's out there. There's a lot of it. I do have a website called littlebooks.biz that does list every place that you can purchase it. If you want to connect with me, I love Instagram and I love meeting people. So please come and say hi, Jordana Borensztajn. And my website is jordanab.com.au for all other stuff.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on Big Stuff.
Definitely.
We're my pleasure. We've had a big time. And I reckon you and I are going to be chatting about
100%.
My upcoming comedy gig.
We've sealed it. It's like I'm your comedy coach and you're my Netflix director. So I mean,
amazing.
What a podcast. What an outcome.
Yeah. I know, right? See? Come in with zero expectations and next minute, global domination.
So I should have had a different answer. Like, what's next? I'm like, apparently a Netflix documentary.
That's right. We're calling it in, baby. Call it in. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on Big Stuff.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Did you just love the way Jordana turned every disaster, that tragic date, the floating prison of shame, getting escorted off Facebook's campus, into fuel for creativity, fuel for the next thing? Not just her career, but actually helping people to see the things that we're most afraid of, the moments that make us want to hide under our doona in our cabin with a blueberry muffin. These are exactly the experiences that we can mine and they can set us free. I know that's what I needed to hear today, because so many of us, especially the high achievers and the ones who look like they're crushing it from the outside, are often just exhausted from performing perfection. We're terrified of the wobble, of looking guilty when we've done nothing wrong, of being that person that everyone is pointing at near the buffet. It just cracks me up to even think about it. The shame, right? The mortification. But what we've seen today is that the way through all of this isn't perfection, it's presence. It's creativity. It's following the joy even when you don't know where it's going to take you. And it's being willing to mess it up along the way. Get messy. So here are 2 things that I would like you to sit with. First, what dream or idea lights you up so much that when you're in it, the outside world loses its noise? And what would following that joy actually look like this week? Not in some perfect future version of your life, but right now. Messy, imperfect as it may be, what could it look like? And second, what humiliation are you still carrying that is only affecting you? What would happen if you got the lessons from it, like really got them, and then let it go? I think like Jordana did with a click and a finger. Because here's what she's really reminded us is you're the only one who's still thinking about it all these months, years, whatever later. And it's exhausting and it's not character building. It's just you choosing. It's just you choosing to stay in the prison after the door has closed. So huge thanks to Jabo for reminding us that our worst moments can become our greatest teachers. The little book of influence is available everywhere books are sold. And I will drop some links in the show notes so you'll be able to find Jordana, find her book. And before we go, remember that you, like Jordana, your awesomeness is too much to behold all at once. So take your time, follow the joy, and for God's sake, stop waiting for permission to be brilliant. See you next time. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode of Big Stuff as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, it would really help me if you wanted to share it with just one person that you think is going to get something out of it. And also feel free to drop a comment. All of these things really help podcasts to gain more ears, and that's what we're really here for. Also, be sure to subscribe, then you will never miss an episode. If you want to find out more about me, who I am, what I do, then you can go and check me out at daniellecolley.com.au. I'll see you next episode for more big stuff.